The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy has this to say about Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons, or D&D, as it is known by those without the time or patience to pronounce full titles, is a peculiar Earth-based pastime wherein a group of otherwise reasonably intelligent beings willingly sit around a table, rolling small polyhedral objects called dice, while pretending to be someone else entirely. This might seem odd, given that most humans already spend an extraordinary amount of time pretending to be someone they're not, in jobs, school, marriages, and to themselves. But somehow, this particular form of escapism has become rather popular. In Dungeons & Dragons, players take on the roles of heroic adventurers in a fantastical world filled with monsters, magic, and questionable moral decisions. Players create a character and assign it mathematical probabilities for success or failure on a character sheet, like some sort of unpaid actuary. The character sheet itself is a curious document that details just how bad their characters are at everything they attempt to do. They then proceed to roll the dice in a futile attempt to achieve some sort of success, despite these inherent limitations. Naturally, this tends to go quite badly. The game is orchestrated by a more powerful being known as the Dungeon Master, or DM for short, who is something like a god, except with fewer perks and significantly more paperwork. The DM's job is to create a world for the players to explore, though in practice this mostly involves describing a lot of taverns, brothels, ruined castles, and the occasional goblin with a surprisingly well thought out and complicated backstory. It is generally assumed that the players will somehow make the DM's life as difficult as possible, a fact that is often embraced with both enthusiasm and a sense of malice. Now, one might ask, why do humans invest so much of their short lives to this game? The answer, much like the game itself, is complicated. For some, it is a chance to live out fantasies of excitement, adventure, and really wild things. For others, it is merely an excuse to consume large amounts of unhealthy snacks and to argue endlessly about obscure rules that no one entirely understands. For yet others, it is a chance to fleetingly escape the crushing existential dread of life in a universe that, for reasons unknown, seems to produce far more paperwork than happiness. The irony being that this choice is a pastime which contains an inordinate amount of paperwork of its own. In short, Dungeons & Dragons is a lot like life, confusing, random, filled with strange creatures that want to harm us and largely governed by forces beyond our control. But at least in D&D, you can roll for initiative when things go wrong.